Well, guys, hope everyone's doing well today. Sorry, I've been off for a while. I did have to do one of the courses, trader training course here at the Canadian Securities Institute, and I passed. So now I am officially a professional trader on top of, working in the field, and so on. But anyway, let's get right into it. So today we're going to be talking about something that's a little bit more. This is actually the most important thing, is just that it's not very popular when people are searching up videos. It's about mindset. And if you stay with me, I'll also talk about the GameStop, what happened with the GameStop thing, and Reddit, and kind of explain my thoughts on that, and why, what that hype is all about, and what actually happened, and why you shouldn't really buy into it. Okay. So I really hope you guys do watch this to the end. It'll probably be a little more lengthy, but I do want to hammer out the importance of mindset before you're actually going into picking a stock. What should I max out first? How much should I put in? How much should I have right now? What should I invest in? How do I make a ton of money? See, so those are kind of the questions I'm getting, but that's obviously not the mindset that you want to have. Okay, the winning mindset is something completely different, and we'll get into it and why most don't have it. Okay, so first of all, why talk about mindset? So the most important thing when you're starting a skill, right? Because this is going to be a skill, this is going to be a life lesson, is you need to have the correct mindset going into it, or you need to be shaped by a mentor into the correct mindset. Before starting anything, before going into anything, so that you can have a clear understanding of your goal and a clear understanding of what actually you're working towards. Okay, so in mindset, what is mindset all about? It's all about setting the right goals, viewing obstacles as ways that you can improve rather than impediments, and defining your why. Why am I doing this? And they can't just be like, because I want to make boatloads of money. It needs to be, why do I want to wake up in the morning and read about index funds? Why do I want to wake up in the morning and do all this, right? It's not just about the money. It's what the money can bring you, right? It's your lifestyle. It's what you want your life to look like. And we're gonna go into that a little later as well, because everyone can be rich if you define what your rich is. If you're thinking billions of dollars, well, why? It's really difficult to be spending billions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, so we'll look at that as well. So let's go into the actual philosophy of investing. Now, this doesn't mean you go in and you look for the winning stocks or a diversified portfolio. I'm going to buy, with my $10,000, I'm going to buy 100 different stocks. I'm going to put a few dollars in each. No, it doesn't really work like that. Okay, it's not all about one thing, one diversification, one field. Everyone's whoever you ask, someone's going to have a different philosophy, right? They're going to tell you that they invest in ETFs. They're going to tell you that they only do options. They're going to tell you they only short. So that's investing, thinking very limited, right? Like, you're only thinking towards what the market is. But the way that you should be looking into investing is what the market was created for in the first place. The market is a way for you, not just for you, for someone to get their capital and bet on a company, invest inside a company, and hopefully take part of the profits that they're going to be making. Okay, and obviously the more profits they're going to be making, the more you're going to be rewarded, and the more perceived value, people are going to keep buying in that secondary market. So that's how you make your money, plus your dividends and all that fun stuff. Okay, but the way that we should be looking at investing is more specified to increasing your value. Okay, so if someone, I hear this all the time, and I want to slap people. It's important to get started early. Start putting in $25 into a savings account, and eventually you'll have $1 million by the time you're 150. And but listen, in the long run, if you're doing that small thing, like, it's not going to do anything. Before you get to the actual compounding part of the later years, you're going to be too tired and too burnt out to be able to enjoy the lifestyle that you want. Everyone wants to become more independent much earlier, financially independent. Let's say, I don't want to get into other dependency stuff. Financially independent with themselves or their family unit as soon as possible. Okay, so what does that mean? This is not just about picking the stocks. This is about managing your debt and managing your opportunity costs and also investing in yourself. Okay, so what does managing debt mean? I'll give you guys an example. It's not just about like, oh, I have a million loans. It's about, okay, I have all these loans. How can I make quick wins right away so that I win, right? So not all debt is actually the same. For example, a credit card, being late on your credit card costs you like 19.99%. The last time I used to work as a teller, it was like 2015. It was 19.99%, and that's compounded, I think, monthly. Then you have cash advances when you're borrowing money from the credit card. Okay, and that's even worse because that's compounded daily, and that's 24.99%, and that's just going to rack up more and more. Okay, but if you have something like a mortgage, for example, which is right now at an all-time low, it's probably around 2%, maybe less, maybe a little more. You know, if you compare that, right, you want to take the mortgage, right? So what does that mean? If you have your outstanding credit card debt, you're going to pay that off first. Obviously, you're going to pay off the credit card before you pay off a house because a house is considerably worth more. But what I'm trying to explain is something like student loans. Everyone has the student loans. They're probably a little high, a lot lower than your credit cards. Okay, so obviously there's a lot of like government kind of incentives, and you know they're always like on the news telling you, you know, we'll forgive the debt or whatever they'll do with the debt. There's that too, right? But you want to be paying off the credit card debt before you're paying off your student loans. So there's that, right? Another thing that's not often talked about is good debt. So borrowing in order to invest, okay? So for example, a student loan, right, which I haven't heard anyone happy about having a student loan, is technically good debt, right? You're taking out money to invest into a degree, and then in hopes that you're going to be getting a better degree and then a better job, and that's going to increase your job by 20, 30, 40, $50,000 per year, and then that initial investment in yourself will have paid off. Okay, so another way to look at it is if you have a margin loan, for example, and you have a very relatively stable stock, a REIT, and you can borrow the margin at like 4 or 5%. You're going to put it into a stock that's at an all-time low, and it's also paying 7, 8, 9% dividend, right? That's free money right there. Obviously, it could fluctuate at any time, but if you're buying at an all-time low and it's already an 8, 9% and they haven't missed dividends in 15, 16 years, for example, I would, want to take that risk. I'm not saying you should. This is not financial advice, but I would want to take that risk, and I would make that difference between the 9% I'm earning and the 4% debt that I'm taking. And then that's compounding my growth. That's a free 5%. That's arbitrage for me, okay? So there's that. Also mortgage, right? Like there's people that are purchasing real estate. I bought an investment property because that it's the lowest debt you can take on in order to invest, the lowest debt that you can take on in terms of percentage that you can be investing in, okay? So we also have opportunity costs, right? And actually, before I move on to that, there's also these questions that, should I be paying off my mortgage more aggressively or should I be investing, right? It's very simple to see that why would you be paying off aggressively a 2% mortgage, for example, when you are averaging a rate of return between 10 and 50% yearly on the markets, right? Maybe even higher if you're not, okay? So that's kind of the way that you're going to be looking at things, not which stock to pick, but what money do I have and what capital do I have available to me to be able to take that on, okay? And I know a lot of people are scared, they hate the word debt, but this is what I'm trying to change. I'm trying to make you guys understand that if you are using debt to invest, if you're using debt and placing it in assets, it's actually going to benefit you. And the earlier you do that, the more the safer it is, to be honest. The earlier you do this, in the long run, because in 10, 20 years, the market is always trending upwards. It always, if you look at an index fund 20 years from the date it was, minus like a couple flash crashes here and there, right? If you pick like very specific days, it will go up. Okay. And the earlier that you are deploying this capital into the market, the better. We also have opportunity costs. So, for example, if you are staying in a job that you are getting paid 40K and you're putting away $300 a month into your investments, right? Then that will compound as it goes, and it's good to be happy about that, and it's good to congratulate others for doing that. If that's your only available opportunity, but at that point, if you're only making that 40K and you're later on in your years, mid 30s, if you want to get aggressive, even your 20s, you would want to be looking at increasing your income, and in my opinion, increasing up to six figures. If you live in a very low cost area, then you may not need to do this. But I'm living very close to Toronto, and I want to keep increasing my income until I get to 100, 120K before I'm actually deploying a lot of capital into these markets. Right now, dabbling and playing a little small cap here and there, but mostly I'm focused on achieving that goal first, the six figures. So this is what I want you guys to be doing, instead of actually taking that time to be putting away that money, and maybe you're even a novice at investing and you're not going to be getting 100-200% gains. It's very hard to do that unless you're getting super lucky on a penny stock. But if we're looking at the just the trend line, we want to be increasing our income before we want to be deploying. So a lot of rich people do this. For example, a lot of entrepreneurs do this. They invest in themselves first. When they're making those millions, that's when they're actually starting to look into investing in the markets and real estate, because they're skipping. If you guys look at an exponential graph, right? I'm sure everyone has, if you're interested in these videos. If you look at the exponential graph, it's like the last 5 or 6 years, that's where the fun compounding begins, right? Because that's when you have the, 500, 600, 700,000, and compounding that, you're deploying more into the market than your salary is deploying into the market when you're getting in the millions, right? So definitely be increasing your income and be looking at the skills you have. For example, if you're making that 40K and maybe you've hit a wall, and the only way to break past it is looking at an 80 or 90K investment into an MBA that may or may not work out, and looking at 1 to 2 years, you want to ask yourself, maybe do I want to do this, or maybe should I be looking at something else? A lot of people have jobs in which they have complementary skills. For example, if you are working for a design agency, if you're working for a marketing agency, there is a ton of work that you can be doing freelancing, and maybe that extra $300 a month can be used on some certifications that you could be getting in your digital marketing space, in the graphic design space, in learning more techniques and learning sales techniques. And I guarantee that at that level, the extra $300 a month that you're putting into yourself, rather than $300 into, like, I don't know, Bell or Telus or just some blue chip stock, it's going to be a lot more beneficial to you. Okay, I know I spoke a lot on that, but I want to get you guys thinking more about what should I be doing with the money that is going to explode. Like, we want to look at like 10x. We want to look at 1,000 times better, right? 10 times better, which is 1,000% better if we can get it, right? We want to be hungry. We want to be driven, right? And if we can't do that on the market, can we be doing it somewhere else? Am I a professional that's completely underpaid? Should I be looking for a job? Am I getting paid 40K for doing for being in IT? Like, I could be getting a lot more, right? If you're doing a lot of Excel work and you're getting paid 40K, right? Raise that up. Even if you're at 80, 90K, make sure that you can get up to at least six figures. Honestly, like, I looked into the calculations. Making past 100, 120K and then increasing your salary is usually not worth it in terms of responsibility and work correlated directly to an employer, at that point you want to be looking into freelancing, entrepreneurship, or professionally investing, or all this stuff, right? So I also put an example: investing in a degree versus investing in an index fund, right? If you we're going back to the student loan debt thing again. If that will, if you are going to be a lawyer or a doctor or something that is super professionally needed, and you need that degree, if you're getting high up there, definitely investing in that is going to pay off. If you want to be the best surgeon, you want to be, in a very like micro niche area of the health world. I'm not really sure what I'm saying. I'm not if that's correct, but if you want to be something super specialized, that's usually worth it, because you're going to be in high demand and you're going to be paid a ton. You're also going to be working a ton, but that's up to you. Okay. So now that we've gone ahead of from investing, we're going to talk about the habits. Okay. So we do want to start early. So I did earlier speak about those sayings that, hey, invest $25 every month, and eventually you'll have $1 million when you're been dead for 6 years. The one good thing about this is you want to start early. And what does starting early mean? It doesn't necessarily mean putting $25 into a mutual fund and forgetting about it and then you're getting a happy surprise. Starting early means getting those habits and getting that thinking, getting that mindset early, so that you can be more focused on what you're actually doing. So what does that actually mean? If you're 18, 19, 20 years old, you're getting, and you're just like partying and doing all this stuff, and you're not really focused on investing. You're just kind of focused on grabbing the paycheck. Maybe you're still living at home. Your parents are really nice. They still pay for your food, for your phone, for your whatever. If you still have that kind of privilege, maybe you kind of forsake it and you just spend your paycheck as soon as you get it, and all of a sudden you're 26, 27. They're asking you to move out, and you don't really have anything saved up. You're not really making that much. It starts rolling into an avalanche, and then you're losing very precious years of your life, because the earlier you start, the better, right? So, okay, let's say you didn't have those $25 to invest maybe earlier, right? It's not going to make that much of a difference, but if you have the mindset that, hey, I want to start investing, I want to start looking at raising my income, I want to start looking at what I could be doing outside and doing side hustles, I want to start looking into freelancing on top of the work I'm doing. Is the degree that I'm in right for me? Is it because my family is pressuring me into it? You have to look at this externally, and you have to decide that this is your life, right? Like if you are going into a degree that you know for sure you're not going to get a job out of it, or you're not going to get a job that's going to be 70, 80K out of it, and you could probably go get a 40, 50K job right now at a bank and grow from there on. In my example, my degree didn't really help me. It formed a lot of connections, but in terms of actually getting me the job, it did nothing for me, right? So you want to be looking at that and start looking at good investments that you should be doing. In theory, you should firstly be investing in yourself before you start investing in stock market. So invest in yourself, invest in your education, and then probably start investing in the stock market when you have, right? Like, even if you didn't have that $25 early on, but you had that mindset, and then all of a sudden you're making enough to now start deploying $4,000 or $5,000 extra dollars per month, you can skip all that like early compounding stages and skip right to like the middle part, right? So definitely be looking out for that. Okay. Calculate the end game and step back and look at the entire picture. So don't just be focused on what stocks should I pick, what just a lot of the things I said earlier. And the biggest thing is not making choices out of fear. So what does that mean? There's a lot of fear of missing out. So FOMO, we're very fearful creatures. Not only do we fear missing out, we also fear losing our money, right? So if a stock drops too much, we sell it, or if it drops a little bit, we sell it. If it goes higher, we're too greedy, we don't take our profits, and then we lose it. There's a stock that's going up and up and up, and we're just hesitant, and then you finally buy it, and then it starts going down. Right, those are scenarios that I often encounter, and it's still things I fight with myself. I fight internally and I see in others. So definitely be mindful of that. And this is a whole other video, to be honest. That this point opens up a whole can of worms. But basically, there's a lot of fear to investing, and what you want to be doing is really focusing on your plan and focusing on your investment etiquette and your investment philosophy, so that you don't make choices out of fear. For example, if we're looking at the stock market itself, before we get there, obviously don't fear failing a business, right? Give it a try, because if you don't try, it's going to be worthless anyway, right? If you're making, back to that other scenario, if you're making 40K and you can't grow any higher, the only way is freelancing, and you're too scared to start that because you're going to fail that, right? Which, by the way, I have done a little bit of entrepreneurship. The best way, if you have that fear, is just work on your side, just work on it as a side hustle and have it be complementary to your work, because then it doesn't really feel as much as working. You're doing it out of joy usually, because you're specialized in it, and it doesn't really interfere too much with work, and you can be doing it in your free time and earning extra money. And then who knows, it might actually explode to like 200K a year, and then you can quit and be your own boss. Well, your customers are your boss. But yeah, so not making choices out of fear means having that game plan, sticking to it no matter what. If we're on the market, right, having that philosophy that if the stock drops to 15%, I have a stop loss. If it goes up to 20%, I'm gonna sell. I'm not gonna wait for it. If it goes to 60, then a percent higher, then you know what? This is things that I fight with all the time. Oh, I should have held on a little longer. If I made money, I don't look at it. I just say, okay, it went to 80%, good for everyone else. I took my money off and I made 30% or I made 20%. I made money. That's it. Not I lost out on 40%. I made money, right? That's what you want to say. If it drops, 10, 15%, and you sell and it keeps dropping, you're going to thank yourself. If it, rebounds a little bit back up to minus 5%, minus 10%, you are kind of giving yourself that peace of mind that you're not, right? You've already sold it, you don't have to look at it. So if it took an extra like 2 months, right, you could have invested in something else and made something more, okay? So let's just talk a little bit more. Let's just talk about GameStop and why, what actually happened and why it actually demonstrates this kind of fear and why it's important to have a good investment philosophy. So this whole GameStop thing comes from Wall Street Bets on Reddit. So I've been on there. I visited occasionally. They've done this before with another stock that I can't really think of right now, but it was going bankrupt. They filed for a Chapter 7, Chapter 11. I keep forgetting because in the States it's like Chapter 7 and here it's like Section 11 in Canada, so I always confuse the two. But basically they were going bankrupt and the stock just shot up, right? That makes absolutely no sense. So same thing with GameStop. I'm an avid gamer, so I know all about GameStop. If you guys know GameStop, when you were younger, you were, that you would like give them like 1 million of your games and they'd give you like $7 for it. So it just, Steam really overcame them. So obviously it's kind of a dying industry. What happens is these hedge funds, which are large institutional investors, they short stocks that are going down. And if you want to know what shorting is, I have a video on that. Basically, they're making money on it falling. What GameStop did is, what Reddit did is they told everyone to pile onto GameStop, purchase the shares, and then it squeezed the shorts, which means that these people that are shorting eventually have to buy back the shares because they're selling shares they don't have, right? And they're wanting to buy it at a lower price, right? So they can make on the difference. If they buy it at a higher price, they lose money. So what they did was they waited until the days that they were usually going to buy back their shares, and they would increase the price. They're forced to buy back at a higher price, and that's why it jumped up so high. Okay, so this is something called prophecy telling. So why I want to explain that is back in 80s, 90s, right now people look on social media and media platforms such as Reddit, message boards more than they do TV, but it used to be these pump and dumps where people would say this stock is going to go to 20, 40, 50, 60%, and people would start buying. And obviously it's going to go to 60% because everyone's buying, right? If you tell someone it's going to go up, it will go up. So if you have enough listeners and enough people willing to put money into the stock, it will go up. So this is why this whole Wall Street bets thing is a little funky, because no matter what, a failing company like GameStop, the stock can shoot billion%, because it's not the way that the stock market, it's actually a secondary market. So it's gone through a bought deal. People have already made their money. They've already sold the shares. So now what people are doing is they're just buying and selling, comparative to the psychology of others. So it's not really set. Like, no one sets the prices. So it could be the worst company in the world, but if everyone in America and Canada is investing into a penny stock on the American market that's at 8 cents and it shoots to $800, everyone is suddenly rich, right? So it's that collective. It's really fascinating to me. I call it meme power. It's really fascinating to me, but it's not something that you should be taking, because this is like gambling. This is like casino stuff. So, if you get a rush from that, then yeah, and you have play money to do so, by all means. Like, I would love to. If I had millions of dollars, I'd do this all day. Are you kidding me? With like, just a few $1,000 here and there. This is like a lot of fun. It's like watching like 100,000% like gains. It's incredible. But why I want to tell you is that it could work the other way too. And you should never be picking these winners and losers. You should just be looking at a balanced portfolio, and you should be looking to invest in yourself so that you have enough money later on in order to deploy it and spread it out, right? You can't really spread out $10,000 because you make like a buck, right? But you can spread out $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. Okay. So, finally, we're just going to talk about setting up with the end in mind. We talked a little bit more about this earlier, so I'm not gonna go over it. Huge changes you could be making now. For example, the credit card debt, pay that off first, get lower rates, consolidate your debts. Now, what I want to do is talk about defining your rich, and I also talk about this in another video, calculating the amount of money you need in order to afford your lifestyle. So you have to define what your lifestyle is. So if you want the yachts and the party and the, all the things that I can't really say on YouTube, then, you're going to need a ton of money for that, jet and all that. But, if that's your lifestyle. A lot of the new rich, let's call them, people that don't really look like they're rich, like they don't buy all this designer stuff, they just kind of do their own thing, they live well below their means. They get rich pretty quickly. It's called FIRE, financial independence, retire early. And you could, if you're starting like at 20, you could probably even retire at 40 or 45 with a decent sized income and a few lifestyle choices. If you're never going to get married, you're always going to be single, and you're a professional, and you're buying in a very low cost of living, especially on houses. You're going to be rich pretty quickly, and you're going to pay off your house pretty quickly, and you can start doing the things that you want to do based on your lifestyle choices. If you're more family oriented, maybe you have dual income that you're working with. Some people go with dual income, no kids. It's called DINK. That's when you're going to have a lot of money, and if that's choices for you and you're more into that, you're going to have a ton of money there based on your lifestyle, especially if you're living below your means, because you can get up to like 200, 300K. You guys can retire early and travel and do whatever you want. So you have to define what your lifestyle is, right? So the best way to do this is look at first look at your minimum. What can you minimally live off of per month, right? Let's say it's $1,000, right? That's $12,000 a year. So you can live off $12,000 a year. We multiply that by 25 because we want to use what's called the 4% rule, which means that we can live off an average return of 4%, taking out of the market 4% per year, or living off a 4% dividend. So we can do, you can do 12 times 25 real quick. I'm not gonna do that right now, but it's gonna be a very 12,000 times 25. It's gonna be a very low number. Okay. The mostly what I'm seeing is people can probably live off by themselves, 2 to 3K a month, maybe even 4 or 5 for 2 people, and then you just multiply that by 25, and that'll give you the amount of money that you need basically to be retired forever. If you're like me, I like to add a margin of safety, so I could do 5 or 6%, or I could add another, few hundred thousand on top of there. But that would be your rich. Okay, so whatever that is between the 600 to 1.2 million dollars, that would be your rich, and that's what you can live off for the rest of your life. So you just have to kind of make your calculations and make your basically get your number, and then you'll see that it's so easy to work towards. If I need to make $625,000 to minimally live by myself, to medium I need to make 900, and if I want to do fat fire, it's called more luxurious living, I need 1.5 million. Then you're gonna have these goals, and you're gonna start manifesting them. I know it sounds stupid, but it's really like, rather than I'll never get rich, or I don't know what I need millions and billions of dollars. But when I just need 625,000, perfect. And then you're getting that income, you're saving more, and then all of a sudden you have it in 10 years, and then you're like, wow, I could probably retire right now, and if I get fired, I could probably live in a trailer, but for the rest of my life, I'll never have to work, right? Then you'll see that you'll make the next 200,000 a lot easier, and so forth, and inevitably you might get to even your luxurious end of your lifestyle. Okay, so that's all that I'm going to be speaking about today, guys. It's very, very important to have that mindset. Start with the end in mind. Start with your goal. Start early, and that doesn't mean put money towards it early. Just start early, thinking about your goals and thinking about the income that you want to have and the lifestyle you want to have. Right? You want to just be by yourself. You want to be married. You want to, you want the traditional picket fence dog, 3 kids, all that, whatever. You want something more untraditional. You want to travel a lot, right? You just have to figure that out. Especially if you're going to travel to a very low cost of living that's like outside of North America, like places in Latin America, places in Europe. Digital nomadic lifestyle, you can probably get off on even like the $1,000 a month. It's going to be more like the 4,000, right? So especially if you're making USD. All right, guys. Well, I'll leave that with you guys. It's probably going to be a longer video here, I know. So if you guys actually did stay till the end, I'm sure you found a lot of value in this, and I hope that you take what I'm saying and it impacts. If it impacts at least one area in your life, it's great. We'll go back to more normal videos, TFSA, margin account, blah blah blah, all that fun stuff. But I do want to emphasize that mindset is the most important thing. Okay. Talk to you guys later. Hope you guys are doing well, and enjoy the rest of your weeks. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.